Batman Arkham Shadow was announced a little while back. If you don't know much about it, I've done a couple videos on it, and Batman is a subject on my channel that people really enjoy. It's a subject I really enjoy and that I'm very passionate about. I know a lot of the time lately I've been talking about the Marvel Universe because there's been things going on that I care about with it, and a lot of that's on WB that there's not as much for the DC Universe, but I digress. This is a game that I believe I said I'll probably talk the least about out of the Batman Arkham main mythos, just because I don't have VR. Now, before someone says, that's why you don't like it, you don't have VR, it's actually not. I can afford VR if I really want to. One thing that bums me out about this game, though, brief aside, is that a lot of people can't easily afford VR. They can't easily afford another platform to play something on. And there were actually a lot of people in the audience talking about this game, even in my own comments, who were talking about how they bought a MetaQuest 2 VR a while back, and they're pissed they can't even play this on that. It's only for MetaQuest 3 as an exclusive title. So there's even VR fans who are a little unhappy with the lack of accessibility in terms of hardware you can use to get to this game. Now, put aside the problems that VR does still have. VR bros get absolutely triggered when this comes up. Things like the fact that a lot of people do still get motion sickness problems, get headaches, and other issues. You put aside all those problems, and I think one of the biggest issues you have with this game is WB, because you could have a nicher experience. Now look, VR bros, settle down. I'm not saying nobody has VR. My point is, it's not as widespread at the moment as other types of gaming. I mean, you have traditional gaming has been a thing for decades. Of course, it's going to be more widespread and accessible. People know better what it is, they understand it better, they're more willing to drop money on it, and more people have that tech. Why do you think, I mean, look at the PS4. That's why we're still getting PS4 games a lot of times, is because it's more widespread than the PS5. So it was surprising to me to see with this game, we didn't get the same kind of thing. You know, we didn't get it on MetaQuest 2, anything like that, but a lot of people think it's just because of the demands of the game. The thing is, though, I really think WB screwed over this game in a lot of ways. Despite the lack of accessibility for a lot of players, because like I don't have any plans to buy VR to play this game. Actually, if I did, I'm sure there is a way to record it. Maybe you could use OBS. I don't even know how you'd record VR. I know people can. I don't have any plans to buy this. That said, I think a lot of people, even in my case, who are mega fans of this franchise, would not be angry about this or would not be annoyed if WB had handled their games division better. Now, at the end of the day, this is a game that was actually pitched by the team, and it is being made, like I said a few times here, for only MetaQuest 3. It's mutually beneficial. It gets the Batman name out there even more, as if it couldn't be already. It's probably even on your grandma's underpants at this point. I mean, Batman is everywhere. It gets the MetaQuest 3, an exclusive title to push that tech. It's a win-win for both teams. But something I've noticed is that it's gotten a lot of hate and a lot of criticism, some of it even from me, I will absolutely admit, despite the fact that the game itself does look fun as an experience. And most of the reason that people have that frustration is because, one, it's in the Arkham universe, and two, that universe and that series, and I should even just say WB games, superhero games in general, for the last handful of years, have been handled horribly by Warner Bros. So I want to talk about this for a few more minutes. I do want to throw you a question of the day. Question of the day: are you going to be buying this game? Do you want this game? Are you planning to play it? You know, what are your thoughts on it in general? I'm just interested in that in the comments down below, and I will leave some ways to support this channel throughout the video like I normally do, so if you resonate with the channel, you want to support it, there you go, those things will be on the screen, including subscribing, by the way. But that said, I really think that a lot of the dislike around this game is not actually because of this game. You can say that's not fair, that's fine. When it comes to a series, if you drop the ball on an entry in a beloved series, or you do something that's really off-putting to a large portion of your demographic that funded that series by buying it over the years, kind of keeping the lights on for your studios, and you basically tell those people, actually, nah, you're not in a position to play our game, sorry pal, that's going to piss people off. But I think the reason for that pissing people off so much is because of how Batman Arkham has been handled lately. So let's kind of run through some of the greatest hits of WB games in recent years and of Batman Arkham in recent years to kind of take a look at why people are frustrated. First off, you have the fact that Batman Arkham Knight, while I love it, was a little divisive compared to the previous entries in terms of its reception. Personally, I'm going to boil that down to trying to end the franchise. I think no matter what they did to try and end the franchise, it would get some criticism. Endings are very, very difficult. But that ending happened back in 2015. And even at the time, it had an absolutely butchered PC port that had to be fixed for a very long time. So that didn't start off on the right foot with people, and it was the quote-unquote end of the series. And this was after people had been kind of getting jerked around for years when it came to the Batman Arkham continuity. With comic books, are they canon, are they not? Who knows? Some are, some aren't, or maybe now these ones aren't either. It was also after people were waiting and waiting and waiting to see a lot of things end in the franchise in that game, and see some storylines get tied up that, honestly, despite me loving that game, weren't actually handled the best. For example, things like Hush. They didn't really know where to take it. But I still think it's a great game, and that's kind of where people thought the series might stay. But there were many teases, many leaks, and things that ended up actually being potential canceled, I would say, pitches. Things like Project Sabbath, right? Things like the Batman Beyond game that for some reason was going to use Damian Wayne. I don't know why they didn't want to use Terry, but nevertheless, it was an idea at one point that didn't materialize. There were also things going on in the background, like the WB Games Montreal team supposedly spinning off a Suicide Squad game out of Batman Arkham Origins, which again had gotten a lot of heat at the time because of no Kevin Conroy, no Mark Hamill, and despite being one of my favorite games in the franchise, actually genuinely, I love Arkham Origins. I'll go to bat for that game any day of the week. That game also was like something that started off a little bit on the wrong foot with people. So you have to think, looking back at it right now, great series, I love it. I pretty much love every entry in it, mostly, and we'll get to that. But you only have two games that were pretty much universally loved. You have Asylum, and you have City. Then you had some random things like a mobile game spinoff, I believe it was Lockdown. You had things like Origins, like I said, rocky start for a lot of people. People still shit on it, which sucks, I love it. You have Night, which didn't resonate with a lot of people. You had the comics, which were back and forth on canon. You had the Assault on Arkham movie, which I believe is now not canon, but who knows, and honestly, who cares? And then, of course, as well, you had all of these leaks over the years of things people wanted to see. Maybe Rocksteady's making a Superman game. Oh, I guess they're not. Oh, maybe WB Games Montreal, they're going to make a Batman Beyond game. Oh, okay, well, that's not happening. Well, maybe they're going to be making a Batman Beyond game from Rocksteady. Oh, they're not? Okay, well, wait a minute. What about that Suicide Squad game that WB Games Montreal is making? Oh, Rocksteady's making it, and it's a live service now. Oh. And that's where I think a lot of the hate of this game, before it's even out, has come from. Is that this series, as much as I love it, has been mishandled at a lot of levels by Warner Bros., which is not surprising. Warner Bros. Is the, honestly, captain of the industry at mishandling some of the most iconic characters ever made in fiction. It's mind-boggling to me how they managed to screw over multiple animated universes. They managed to mishandle their own live-action universe several times to the point where they had to bring someone in from Marvel to pull them out of the fire. It's crazy to me how WB seems to make their decisions. I mean, again, this is the company, by the way, that allegedly the reason they're not putting their characters in Fortnite anymore is they were somehow scared it was going to compete with Multiverses, a game that WB Games also launched and that really flopped at first. I know a lot of people love it now, and really didn't have a very good, early access beta launch to the point where they borderline had to pull it, off of everything, go back, fix everything, and then re-release it later. It was not getting very high compliments from the player base. Then Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out, and it had honestly one of the worst, I would say, superhero stories I've ever played in a video game. Which is saying something, because I used to play through movie tie-in games, and I think most of them actually look like Shakespearean masterpieces compared to what they did in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, there were rumors at the time, oh, well, maybe, they're not really, the Justice League isn't really dead, they're going to come back. And it does turn out that that's kind of true in post-launch content that basically no one is playing, that they are going the clone route, but it was all a big bait and switch to make you rage type thing. And that was one of the final performances of Kevin Conroy before he died. Now, look, I'm not trying to advocate that somehow the Suicide Squad team has anything to do with Kevin Conroy's passing. I've seen people make comments like that, like not in jest, not even like as a really dark joke, just like straight up, they act like somehow this game killed Kevin Conroy. It didn't, but I think that it really hurt the fans that the DCAU Batman was gone for so long, not used. Kevin Conroy obviously brought life to that version. We didn't get any more of Batman Arkham for so long. Then when he came back, he was an evil clone who gets murdered. And at the time, it almost looked like he was the real version who got murdered. The game was handled horribly. And this was actually after Gotham Knights came out, a game that very easily could have been reworked to have taken place after Arkham Knight, actually, and wasn't. So WB has been in the process of making missteps, causing missed opportunities, and just blunders in general in their work that really hit home for fans of the Batman Arkham series and pissed them off over the years over and over and over again. And I'm going to go beyond just the Batman Arkham series, because I think some people look at this, they look at the Arkham fan base, I see this every time any of us talk about anything, and they say, oh, well, those guys have enough games, they're just entitled. Like, they just want more. First off, what's wrong with wanting more of a good thing? And secondly, I think it goes beyond Batman and beyond Arkham, and it just extends to a lack of respect for the characters and a lack of understanding of what will land with audiences, whether it's in the Arkham continuity or not. There's a reason why the Monolith Wonder Woman game, went radio silent, because WB doesn't actually know how to market or talk about any of their stuff. They just don't know how to. All of that said, WB has mishandled their properties for a very, very, very long time, especially in the gaming realm. I mean, hell, we don't even get Lego games anymore. Where are those? I know we got one on the PS4 quite a while ago. We got the Lego DC Supervillains, but we don't even see Lego and DC collab much anymore. Like, you don't even see as many Lego DC superhero kits in real life. I know that's an aside, but I'm just saying, like, it's like the presence of DC, WB doesn't know where to put them. Well, we can't put them in Fortnite. It might eat into our profits in multiverses. It won't, by the way. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but that's apparently their reasoning. Oh, well, we can't make these Arkham games people want. Why? I don't know. Oh, well, maybe we should make a live service game. No, you shouldn't. Oh, you did, and it was bad. Oh, well, maybe we should make this game about the Bat family grappling with Batman's passing. Whoa, cool, interesting idea. Oh, it's totally unrelated to anything, random, off on its own. And any non-Bat characters are just 100% ignored in the gaming realm anyway, which is honestly probably a topic for a whole nother video. And the reason I wanted to talk about all of this is because I think a lot of people get the wrong idea. When it comes to Batman Arkham Shadow, there are actually some cool things here. I think the city looks really interesting. I think the teaser is fun, but I think the problem is that if this game came out, 5, 6, 7 years ago, kind of like Arkham VR came out, on the early PlayStation 4, I don't think there would be a lot of dislike or frustration around it. And I will say, even, I don't think that frustration should be levied at the team making it. It's not their fault that WB has been absolutely incompetent when it comes to their franchises. But this comes off in bad taste to a lot of people because of all the garbage that they dealt with for really the last decade around these characters, now kind of culminating in one of the most beloved people to ever play Batman is no longer with us and never will be again. That's just sadly the reality of what happens when you pass. You're gone. I will say, amazing guy like Kevin Conroy, one of the sweetest souls out there. I'm sure he's, dropping some really hard-hitting Batman games for God right now. I mean, like, up in heaven. Like, we know that guy. If there is a heaven, Kevin Conroy's in it, right? I think we could all agree on that because he was just such a wonderful man. But the people here on Earth, who wanted to enjoy his work, WB wasted that for so long. Again, not his fault, but I think the fact that he died also makes this hit harder. And then Roger Craig Smith is under the spotlight, who played Batman in Arkham Origins, which sucks for him, because he's going to be compared to Kevin Conroy at every turn. But my point is that I think people look at Arkham Shadow and they see what was lost. They see what they didn't get. They see the Batman Beyond game. You know, despite the fact I don't agree with everything they were supposedly going to do with it, they see that. They see things like how Gotham Knights could have been reworked to be an Arkham game. They see things like the limitless potential of seeing Kevin Conroy's versions of Batman, multiple versions, on screen again, whether it be in movies, games, etc. They see the idea of a DCAU game that people floated around for a long time in modern day, up in smoke. They see these things and they think, one of the best people to ever portray this character is no longer with us. WB mishandled his work over and over again, giving him kind of crappy scripts that he didn't write. They see that WB mishandled these game franchises over and over again. They see that WB mishandled their movies over and over again. They see that WB mishandled their comics in a lot of ways over and over again under the DC banner by making like every other Tuesday some kind of Crisis on Infinite Earth spinoff. It's just frustrating, and I don't think the team making Arkham Shadow deserves the hate that they get for this kind of stuff. They didn't cause any of these problems. But I did want to explain that that's one of the reasons why people are so frustrated with this, is because they see this and they just think of what we could have had instead. If this was a companion piece released alongside other things, I think it wouldn't really be annoying people the way it is. But now you're doing things like having, you know, supervillains that we never really got to see, having origin stories, having the Arkham Origins sequel that people asked for forever even as well. And you're locking all of that behind a very specific VR platform that a lot of people don't own. That's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way. If you enjoyed this video, you want to support this channel, you can leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're watching it on another platform, you know, there's the follow button, things like that. Share it with your friends, helps me out a lot. Also, I did want to say that we do have a Fortnite code. I've probably flashed it once or twice during the whole video, but it's DJAY123. That helps us out a lot if you use the support a creator function on Fortnite. And I believe it's removed every couple weeks. I don't know why Epic has it set that way, but if you are someone who uses it, you want to check and make sure it's still in there. That, like I said, helps us out a lot. We do also have our own store, which is cosmobunny.shop. Now, I try and briefly explain this store every time that I talk about it. You can use code DJAY123 for 10% off. What we do is we do not print pictures, we do not steal pictures, we do not go online and find pictures, but we buy wholesale or are gifted really, really damaged comic books, magazines, and all kinds of books like that. You can actually see in some of the footage that, you know, I have shown of these different things that there is comic book paper that is actually being used. Now, what we do is we take this and we turn it into new pieces of art for people's homes, whether it be coasters, keychains, trays, or more. We keep those things out of landfills. We try and use sustainable methods of doing it. Most of our packaging materials are reused, recycled. Most of our, you know, even the gloves Jill uses to make this stuff are sustainable. They're biodegradable. So lots of fun stuff we do with this. Every purchase does go to help support our channel. We appreciate it. And we've been finding new ways to make transformative art with this stuff that I think is fun, because unfortunately a lot of comic shops, at least in Minnesota where we get this stuff from, they don't really have good recycling, if any. So a lot of this stuff just ends up straight up in the trash. So we take it, we reuse little bits and pieces. That was supposed to be the whole point of fair use and transformative art, is turning something old into something new that does not in any way replace the old thing. Obviously, buying a coaster does not replace the comic it came from, unless somehow you have Dr. Manhattan's powers to see into the fabric of reality of that paper, which in that case, please come work for me. I will do anything. I mean anything, all right? You don't, in the words of Bart Simpson, you don't want to know how far I'll go. So, we hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay jouet.